Hey guys, how's it going? CoderMan here. So in today's video I want to talk a little bit about whether I think that the BMW M3, specifically the E92, would be a good first car. So my first car was a Volkswagen Jetta that I purchased from my stepmom, and it was a great car. It was it was built pretty solid. I had some weird issues with the engine and the exhaust and a couple of things that needed to be replaced soon after I got it. It was no fault of the previous owner. It was just, I guess, those things kind of break. And I've had this car now about 3 years, or actually just over 3 years. And I was kind of thinking, hey, is this, would this be a good first car? So my son's 10, but he'll be driving in about 6 years, and thinking, if I still have this, would I want to pass it down to him? And while being a car enthusiast, it's a great idea, thinking, hey, I get him into cars and one of the best driver's cars for the money. But I started to think more about it, and I was like, the amount of power that this has relative to, say, another car, I don't think it would be a great first car, especially for someone just learning out. Of course, I'd like him to learn on a manual or, get his license and everything and then drive a manual, because I find it to be the most fun. I think he'll enjoy it as well. I just was, the horsepower and the torque in this car, while not super high compared to other cars, is still quite a bit. So a day when it's raining like today, if you turn off traction control and come off a light, or just maybe grab a U-turn or something, you can spin the back end. If you're expecting it, it's a lot of fun. The first time I did it, I'm not ashamed to say that it got me off guard. I don't remember if my exact reaction. I'm sure I didn't scream or anything, but it definitely was. It was kind of humbling. It was kind of the first time that I drove a motorcycle and I almost dumped it. So I'd bought a brand new CBR 500R and took it out for its maiden voyage, and I basically was going around a bend in a highway, and I just didn't lean over enough. I was expecting to just turn the handlebars, and for some reason completely just forgot my MSF training and just almost jumped the thing. And from that moment on, I was very humbled. I was very aware of how you can get in trouble with a motorcycle if you're not careful. So I kind of think of it as the same thing when the M3 did that. It was, kind of telling me, hey, if you're shit, I can hurt you. So just, don't do dumb shit when you're not expecting it. And it seemed like a pretty good lesson. As far as a daily, you can drive this car daily. I made a video on it a couple ago when I did my ownership video. I drive it year-round, just throw snow tires on it, and away you go. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think the power would be a problem for a first-time buyer. Or even a first-time driver. I also feel like the maintenance and overall upkeep of the vehicle would be is higher, and therefore, when you're starting out, you generally don't have a lot of spare cash, especially if, let's say you got your first job, or let's say your parents gave you the car, which I guess is great, but they're probably not going to pay for all the maintenance, or at least they shouldn't. So it can be cost prohibitive, I would say. And then another factor that you really have to think about is insurance. So a car like this, being a V8, insurance companies look at it and they're like, okay, higher risk of speeding tickets, higher risk of injury, higher risk of accident. All right, we're going to assume that you're going to be a shit with this car, so we're going to charge you accordingly. And if you're just starting out, your insurance is already going to be really high, depending on the state that you live in. So to have to deal with that to have to deal with that on top of already not having a lot of money, I think would just be a recipe for disaster. I feel like you would be car poor. Car poor is basically similar to house poor. If you're spending all your money for your house or your car, you can't really do a lot else in your life. And especially starting out, I feel like that would really suck. Now, in regards to this being a good first car, I think that you can work on it yourself if you're mechanically inclined, or if you have a desire to be so. It's not a lot goes wrong with it. Of course, yeah, when something breaks, it's a little bit more expensive, but at least for me, it's been pretty bulletproof. It's a great driver's car. You can have a lot of fun with it. If you're driving it to its limit, hopefully you're not doing that when you first get it, but if you are, it can handle it. And I think overall, it's just a great driver's car. So, if you're you know, just getting your license, or, I mean, in my case, for those who don't know, I actually got my license when I was 25. And the reason for that wasn't because I was like, oh, I'm afraid to drive, I don't want to drive. I had actually intended to move to a big city and had really no use for a car. And I, you know, had got my permit when I was 16 and a half, went through driving school, you know, would drive families' vehicles and stuff, but I just never saw a point in getting my license, being that I was going to move away, you know. And then I started my company, and it was kind of like in the back of my mind. Looking back, I kind of kicked myself because there was a lot of weekends and a lot of trips that I could have rented a car, and, you know, whatever. Definitely don't wait to get your license. You know, I'd say I'd do a video on the vehicles I've owned, but it's a pretty short list. It's a, you know, Volkswagen Jetta, Nissan Murano, which is also my wife's, an Acura TSX, and now the M3. And then, you know, hopefully the way that things are going right now, a new vehicle in the next couple of months. Not sure what it's going to be, and not sure if it's going to replace or add to the collection, but I'll be, you know, talking about that more later on. And I think I mentioned this in a video before, but definitely don't get a manual transmission if you commute. I have an early meeting, so I'm stuck in rush hour, and I mean, you can probably see from the footage, car's not moving that fast. There's lots of shifting, and I mean, I'm doing this once in a blue moon, but you know, if you were doing this every day, I just would not recommend it. So yeah, so there's my thoughts on whether the M3 is a good first car. You know, take from it what you will. I'm not saying get it or don't get it. It's just my opinion based on owning it and having a younger son who I know is going to be driving soon. I want him to be safe, but also have fun. He'll certainly be able to drive this car or any other vehicle that I have, because my dad let me do that, and I just, overall, I want him to experience car ownership and kind of that whole lifestyle. I think it's a very unique thing that not everybody in the world gets to experience. And I know as of right now, he absolutely loves cars. His dream car right now, I believe, is the Bugatti, and it goes between that and the LaFerrari. So, I mean, he's got big dreams, and I know he'll definitely reach them. So yeah, so there's my thoughts. Leave a comment below on yours. Like the video. Please subscribe if you're new here, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video.